Hi, how are you? I'm sorry I did not upload a video last week. I could not do it due to lack of time. Well, now we will create a drop-down menu with two design styles. The secondary style has a light background, which can be used in the content of the forms. The text color and primary color can be personalized, which affects the icon and the selected item. As a second design, we have the main menu style. It has a dark and larger background. You can personalize the primary color, which affects the color of the icon and the selected item. Currently it supports up to 4 levels of sub-items, but you can add more levels if you need. The very simple to do, I will explain later in the programming of the custom control. Well, let's start with the tutorial. To create a drop-down menu, or a custom context menu strip, you need 3 components. A class that inherits from the ContextMenuStrip class, a traditional control from the Windows Forms library. Then, through the renderer property, set a custom renderer to customize the appearance of the menu. To do this, this class must inherit from the toStrip professional renderer class. And finally, instantiate custom color table and base class constructor parameter, in that way modify the painting of the menu and the items. Similar to the above, this class must inherit from the professional color table class. These classes only allow modifying the appearance and handling the painting functionality of objects of toStrip type. Okay, so we'll start creating the classes from the last level up. First, we will create the class to modify the color table of the menu and their items. We import the Windows Forms library and the drawing library. We convert to a public class and inherit the professional color table class. Now, we declare fields for the appearance colors. These are menu background color, left column color, menu border color, menu item border color, and finally the background color of the selected item. In the constructor, we define a constructor with parameters, a parameter of type Boolean to determine if it is a main menu, and another for the primary color of appearance. Now if the style is main menu, we set dark style colors. This is optional, you can choose the colors you want.
I'm feeling so hollow, don't you know, don't you know, I'm living in shadow.
Now, if the style is not main menu, we set light style colors, or the colors you want. If you want, you can also create parameters for each field, and thus customize all the colors from the form. Personally, I like to have a single design for each case, and it saves me time, since I do not have to change the colors in each menu that I add on the forms. Well, now we will override the following properties. Override the background color property from the drop-down menu. Here we simply need to replace it with the custom background color field. We do the same for the following properties.
Don't you know, I'm living in shadow. Don't you know, don't you know, I fell for fool's gold, I fell for fool's gold. What did I know? What did I know? I fell for fool's gold, I fell for fool's gold. What did I know? What did I know? You were fool's gold. Yes, I did.
The background color of the left column of the menu, it is a 3-color gradient color. If you want, You can declare a different field for each one. Personally, I like a flat and solid color. That's why I use only one field for all three. Here the border color field is not being used. Apparently I made a little mistake.
And I did it all for love. Yes, I did it all for love.
Well, that's it in this class. We save the changes, and create another class for the custom menu renderer. In the same way as the previous class, we import the Windows Forms library and the drawing library. We convert to a public class and inherit the toStrip professional renderer class. Now, we will create the following fields: a field for the primary color of the menu, a field for the text color, and a field for the thickness of the arrow icon of a drop-down item. In the same way as the previous class, we define a constructor with parameters, a parameter for the menu style, and another for the primary color. We access the base class, and send a professional color table object as a parameter. In this case, the custom class of the color table, since this is where we define the colors of the menu paint. So, we create a new instance of the class, and send the corresponding parameters. Okay, now we assign the parameters to the fields. I forgot to create a parameter for the text color. Optionally, we add a condition: if it is the main menu, the thickness of the arrow icon will be 3, otherwise, a thickness of 2. Then we'll override the onRendererItem text event method, to change the text color of menu items. If the menu item is selected, the text color will be white. Otherwise the color assigned in the text color field. Finally, we override the onRendererArrow event method to change the appearance of the arrow icon for drop-down items. We define the following fields: a field for the graphics object, a field for the size of the arrow icon, you can choose the size you want, a field for the color of the arrow icon. Here, if the menu item is selected, the color of the arrow icon will be white. Otherwise the color will be the same as the primary color of the menu. Well, this is very simple. When the mouse hovers over a menu item, the color of the text and the arrow will change to white. And when the mouse leaves the menu item, the colors are restored. Okay, let's move on. We define a rectangle for the location and size of the arrow icon.
Yes, I did. And I did it all for love. Yes, I did it all for love.
Using the using statement, we create an object for the arrow's graphics path, and a pen object to draw the arrow, with the color and size specified above. Alright, those are all the fields and objects needed to draw the custom arrow icon. Now we set the graphics object's smoothing mode to anti-alias. Then, in the graphics path, we add a line, starting at the top left of the rectangle, to the center right border of the rectangle.
Yes, I did it all for love. Oh. They say fools believe.
We add another line, starting from the endpoint of the previous line, to the lower left. Finally, we draw the arrow icon with the parameters set in the pen object and graphics path. Alright, that's all in this class. You can modify it in your own way, because it can see better ways than this example. Finally, we add the last class for the drop-down menu. In the same way as the previous class, we import the Windows Forms library, the Drawing library, and the Component Model library. We convert to a public class and inherit the ContextMenuStrip control. Now, we will create the following fields: a field to determine if the main style, a field to set the height of the menu item, by default 25, a field for the text color, a field for the primary color of the menu, and finally a bitmap type field to set the width and height of the menu item's header. This is only possible by setting an image to the menu item, so this bitmap type field is necessary. In the constructor, we define a constructor with a parameter of type iContainer, and send to the parameter of the base class. This is very important. The ContextMenuStrip control itself is a component. When using components, resources must be explicitly released through calls to the dispose method, or they must implement iContainer in their constructor that allows it to be associated with a container object, as in this case. This has a great advantage when it comes to controls for Windows Forms. That is, when a component is added from the toolbox to the form, it is automatically instantiated by the constructor that iContainer implements. Therefore it will be disposed together with a form and the other components when the form is closed, so there is no need to manually dispose or associate it with a container object. In conclusion, this constructor will correctly remove the drop-down menu, since a component is not a child of the form. Alright, now we generate the accessors for these fields. This is a control handled directly by the operating system, so it is tough to change appearance, and will sometimes not save changes when setting property values in the form designer. So, I recommend hiding the properties from the toolbox, and accessing the properties directly from your code. This happens in the latest versions of Visual Studio when trying to make a lot of changes to the control. But you can skip this step, and expose the properties in the toolbox. I will do it this way so as not to have problems in the tutorial. Okay. Now we will create a private method to apply the header size and text color of the menu items. If the style is main menu, the header of the menu item will have a width of 25 and a fixed height of 45. This refers to the left column of the menu. Optionally, we establish a fixed color for the text. However, if the style is not main menu, the header of the menu item will have a width of 15 and a height specified in the height field of the menu item. Now we must go through the menu items through a loop to be able to change the height one by one.
They say fools believe in it, so I guess I'm one of them. Oh, don't you know? I fell for fool's gold. I fell for fool's gold. What did I know? What did I know? I fell for fool's gold. I fell for fool's gold. What did I know?
Basically, we set an image to the menu item, in this case the bitmap created earlier. For this we must set the image scale to none. This loop only affects the first level of the menu, therefore, we must add another loop in the first level, and thus change the height of the sub-items of the second level.
What did I know? You a fool's gold. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
We do the same for the third and fourth level of sub-items. They must make sure that the loop is within another previous loop. This way you can keep adding more loops for more levels of sub-items. However, I think 4 levels is enough. I did not see the case where a drop-down menu is used with more than 4 levels of sub-items. Well, we will finally override the onHandleCreated method. If it is not design time, that is, only in runtime, we call the previous method, and we set the custom renderer created previously. We send the necessary parameters. These are, if it is main menu, primary color and text color. Very good, and that's it. We build the project to generate the control, or save the changes.
I'm feeling so hollow, don't you know? And don't you know? I'm living in shadow, don't you know? And don't you know? I fell for fool's gold, I fell for fool's gold. What did I know? What did I know?
Great, it works correctly. The icon, text and background color of the menu item change color correctly when enter or leave the mouse pointer. However, the traditional arrow icon is still being drawn. I forgot to delete this line, which is called by the base class arrow renderer. Okay, now only the custom date icon is drawn. Now I will change the style to main menu. As I said before, to avoid inconveniences in the form designer code, we must do it directly from the code.
I'm feeling so hollow, don't you know? And don't you know?
In the same way, it works correctly. I'll add other drop-down menus to see if there are any issues.
And don't you know? I'm living in shadow, don't you know? And don't you know? I fell for fool's gold, I fell for fool's gold. What did I know? What did I know? I fell for fool's gold, I fell for fool's gold. What did I know? What did I know? You were fool's gold. Yes, I did.
Great, no problem. You can show these properties in the toolbox. When I paused the recording, I cleaned up the project and the changes are saved correctly in the designer, so you can change the values of the fields from the properties box. Okay, you might be wondering how I did to keep the button color while the drop-down menu is open. Well, I created 2 methods to open any drop-down menu. The first method opens the menu on the top right side of any control. And the second method, open the menu on the lower right side of any control. And while the menu is visible, the button will have a fixed color. Otherwise, restore the button's color. So, the result is this. When you open the menu, the button remains activated, and when you close it, the color of the button is restored. Well, that's all in this tutorial. I hope you liked it. Until next time.